We are back in action.
What you drinking, Cleet?
I am drinking Soul Rex, which, I like. A little T-Rex with a hat and a cello.
And a cello. What's the brewing co on that guy?
Level Crossing. It's actually really good. Very smooth.
Yeah. Well, I got Dangero. It's a farmhouse ale from Two Row Brewing. It's got a nice little farmhouse on it. I hope it wasn't brewed in a farm. That'd be fucking weird.
What? What's wrong with brewing beer on a farm?
In a farm.
Yeah.
Like a farmhouse? Ooh, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, okay, we're just going to gloss over that comment. Okay, fair enough.
Well, I'm thinking like cow shit and stuff. I don't want that near my hops.
Yeah.
Some hay. But you know what? If this was brewed in a farm, I'll take that back because it's fucking delicious. And it's 9%.
I don't know the alcohol. Oh, this one's 8.4%. Wow.
I think we switched because last time you had the 9%er and I had like 8.5.
Yeah.
So I'm getting crunk this time.
He's got some
getting turned, as the kids say.
Got some party favors in the back. I'm kidding. I thought I saw Diddy in the background.
Oh, gee, you motherfucker. I can't tell you how much baby oil I'm rocking in this joint.
That's why we don't have cameras. It's just
instead of can't show you.
Instead of like a wall of pops like some people collect, Britain just has baby oil.
All the brands, and I like to lather myself up before we record.
Catch me if you can. Have you seen the movie? It's not about that. It's not about
the Diddy parties. Or is it? Was it loosely based on a Diddy party? I don't know.
I don't know. I'll just float a check.
We're going to jump to Reddit again. In this thread, we're going to talk about the most unexplained, supernatural, or paranormal event that you've ever witnessed. It's been a minute since we've done paranormal.
Yeah. Don't you hate it when paranormal things happen to you, Britain?
I wish they happened more often, man. I don't know. We've done Ouija boards. We went and stayed at a clown motel. And I have nothing to show for it. Nothing.
Yeah, same. Nothing really spooky happened at the clown motel.
The groundskeeper was the spookiest fucking thing at that place.
The guy with two teeth. He's like, hey, I have all the keys, right? He's like, I got spares upon spares. I
have a key for every room, and it gets cold at night. I like to snuggle up.
I could just go in your room in the middle of the night. I don't know.
Anyone could have gone in your room with the fucking gap underneath that door, man. All right, well, let's kick this shit off with some paranormal stories. We're going to start with Crim DS. Well, Monday, I started to worry about my grandpa. The moment of worry passed, and I went about my day. Later on, I posted an article about automated lawnmowers, saying that my grandpa would love this, since taking care of his yard was his hobby. Literally, right after I hit share, my dad calls me. He killed him with a text, dude. We all know this feeling. It's that drop in your stomach when you know something terrible has happened, or it's about to. The feeling that your world has changed and there's nothing that you can do. Anyways, he tells me that my grandpa was rushed to the hospital with a bladder infection, followed by several heart attacks. Jesus Christ. But he's still alive. I didn't think anything about worrying either, at least until I woke up in the next morning. My dream that night was what made it click in my head, I guess. In the dream, I was sitting in my grandpa's shed watching something, and he sits down next to me. Without any pretense, he starts talking. The next few weeks are gonna be hard, and they will test you. Don't worry about me. In a few hours, I won't have any use for it. It's fucking cryptic. We ended up spending what seemed like hours talking about a lot of personal things I honestly didn't know or didn't remember about my grandpa, most of which my dad and his brother have confirmed to be true, although a little exaggerated apparently. Grandpa didn't die until around noon on Tuesday, pretty much just a few hours after my dream. I'm not religious, nor will I be, but for fuck's sakes, what the fuck? I know the subconscious mind can do things like this, but some of the details he told me about his life are things I wasn't there for, or even alive for.
Some spooky communication. I would say beyond the grave, but he wasn't dead yet, so I'm not entirely sure. All right, this one is Just Icar Fudge. Yeah. Was spending the night at a friend's house as a kid around 12 or 13. Parents weren't home, so I decided to go out, do some ding-dong ditching. Yeah, some ding-dong ditching, huh? You fan of that, Britton?
I miss that as a kid. You'd just get shot nowadays.
Oh, I actually have a story about that. I'll pause. So, the last couple of weeks, we kept getting some doorbell rings at around midnight, right?
Midnight?
Yeah, and it would always ring twice. And I thought for sure that someone was doorbell ditching us. Like, and it was weird because it was like on school nights, and I thought it was the neighbors that just moved in. And I'm sitting, and it would only happen at like 1 a.m. or midnight. And I mean, the first time it happened to me, I woke up and I was like trying to catch him, but nothing was there. But anyways, I was cleaning my house. I think it was last week. The door was open, and my doorbell did it again. It was like a glitch. It was just ringing by itself. Like I was like a foot away. Like I ran right towards it. Nothing there. So it's either...
There's no one there?
Yeah, it was ringing on its own. So
do you have one of those smart doorbells?
Yeah, it's a wireless smart doorbell. So
okay.
And it's the receiver's just in an outlet in my hallway. But I just thought it was the strangest thing. It's either a ghost or it was a glitch. It hasn't happened since that instance though. So kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways,
what was the ghost's name that we found in your house?
Chris.
What was his fucking name?
Chris.
It was Chris, man. He's just fucking with you. It's been a long time since we've done that. Since we've gone like recording in different locations. We haven't done the spirit box.
I know.
What the fuck?
Chris needs to quit playing with the ding dong. All right. So back to the doorbell ditch story. Kids going out ding dong ditching, getting into some young angsty debauchery. We get home.
Young angsty debauchery, huh?
We get home and it's around 1 or 2 in the morning. Cue a ringing of a doorbell. Naturally, we think it's the cops or a pissed off neighbor. So he gets home, someone rings his doorbell. My friend had a small window and looked out onto the front porch that you couldn't really see into from outside. So we took a peek at who was calling at such a late hour. Standing at the door was an old woman in a dress and a young boy in a weird, newsy outfit. Both were dressed extremely out of period, as this was the 90s, and my friend had never seen either in the neighborhood before. We duck because we're a bit freaked. Look again, no less than 10 seconds later, and they're both gone. Nobody on the street walking away, no cars driving away. They were just gone without a trace. We did not sleep well. Maybe I take it back. Maybe it wasn't a glitch doorbell. Maybe I got ghosts ding-dong ditching me. Playing the old ding-dong game.
I mean, that or it's the aliens.
Yeah, could be the UAPs.
They're just beaming it down. Yeah.
Yeah, just beaming it down. Right from the ocean. Beaming it up.
From the ocean, man.
Yeah, those little salty bastards.
All the way to Utah from the ocean. It's just a short distance, you know?
Seems like an elaborate, out-of-the-way prank to mildly inconvenience me.
Yeah, but who in the hell is going to think about that, right? That's like the perfect prank. Like, who is Cleet going to think the aliens are doing this from the fucking ocean in the middle of Utah?
Yeah, dicks.
Yeah, right. All right, this comes from Monkey Killer. Damn. But it's monkey with a U. My dad died in a house fire in 1991. I was home at the time, on the other side of the house from him. He was sleeping when I tried to wake him to get him out of the house by breaking a window and trying to jump into his room. I heard him say something, but I don't know what. I never told anybody in the family that he woke up, and the firefighters and doctors, or whoever, I really don't remember, said that he never did wake up. He didn't die immediately. It was 3 days later of smoke inhalation. A few days after he died, my sister told me that she had a dream where he wanted her to let me know that he was telling me to get away from the house. I've still never told her he woke up. The part of the house where I was a converted garage, and I was goofing around on a new Super Nintendo that I had just gotten, so I didn't notice anything for a while, until it had started to get out of hand. Also, no fire alarms. That's smart. When I heard the noise of the fire, I had no idea what it was, and I opened the door from the family room, former garage, into the kitchen, and there was fire everywhere. So first, I made sure to get my grandmother, her dog, and my best friend out. As an aside, and this is where things get absurd, a friend was visiting to play the fancy new Super Nintendo. He had also recently broke his leg in a motorcycle accident, so he had to hop across the lawn where he left. Man, that sounds like the most elaborate fucking story.
Yeah, a little bit.
After I got them out, as I remember it, I tried going around the back from the garage to the porch to get in the dining room. No good. Fire, smoke. Then further down the porch to get into the bathroom. Couldn't reach that window. Then I went back around to the front door. It was locked. We never used it. Always went in and through the covered garage. Then finally to my dad's room where I tried to jump in. Got myself knocked back by the smoke. I believe I yelled first, waking him up. This leads to 2. He wouldn't have had his door locked, but would have had it closed. But then when I woke him up, I supposed he tried to get out of his room, which is why there would have been smoke knocking me back out of the window. He was in a deep sleep, so I can't imagine he was already confused before he opened the door to the hall, letting in the smoke and the heat. I was already 20 at the time, back on winter break from college, but not a child, if you see what I mean. And unfortunately, yes, it's true. These days, 20 plus years on, most of the shock, anger, and all that stuff has faded. Mostly what gets me now is when I sit back and think about how much I would have wanted him to meet my children, and they him. Jesus Christ.
Damn. Well,
Ew, my God.
What a sad story.
This guy's name is Moist Anal Leakage. I should read that one.
Nah, I was going to read the Raider one. All right. This one is from Raider 2. I'm late to this thread, but reading some of these have compelled me to post. This isn't a story, but my mom's. She's an extremely rational person, but this event caused her to have such a severe panic attack that she had to return and live with her parents for 6 months. All of this happened a few years before I was born. My mom's first husband was a Navy pilot during the Gulf War. The carrier was about 10 days into its cruise and operating with complete radio silence. She hadn't heard anything from the ship since it left, but that was to be expected. This was war. On that night, about 10 days into the cruise, my mom woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. She saw her husband standing in the room. It wasn't an ethereal form either. He appeared solid and utterly the same. The only thing different about him was his head was shaved. He only had one thing to say: goodbye. This whole experience startled my mom, and she couldn't get back to sleep. She went to the kitchen to get some water when the doorbell rang. All military wives know what a late-night doorbell means. Her husband had suffered a massive heart attack and died aboard the carrier. She was grief-ridden, but reasoned that the apparition had been a hallucination born of the stress of having a spouse deployed. Besides, with his head shaved, he didn't even look that familiar. Her mom and mother-in-law flew out immediately to plan for the funeral and receive the body. She stayed strong until first viewing the body. Her lifeless husband was bald. In a letter from his NFO, the shaved head was explained as the result of a lost bet. There had been no way of knowing that his head had been shaved, and my mom suffered a minor mental break. Damn.
That's insane. Okay, this comes from Deleted. My grandpa, who was tough as nails, World War II Marine vet, had a little stuffed bunny. He kept it out in the open, and when he would walk past it and thought no one was looking, he would pet it. Big old tough guy petting a little stuffed bunny in adorable secrecy. It was an ongoing family joke. That's really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. He really likes that bunny.
It gets dark immediately. Anyway, he unalived himself, and we all went to the house to deal with the police and me and everything. We stayed in the house that night and had an overall creepy vibe because of what had happened. We were all naturally upset and struggling and doing dumb things to try to make ourselves laugh trying to deal with it. And we realized the bunny has been moving, like it would be on the dining table, and then we would see it in the den an hour later. I thought somebody was doing it as a joke, but everyone swore they wouldn't do that, and we never caught anyone doing it. I kept an eye on that bunny the entire week. Never saw anyone touch it, but it would still be moved. I think Granddad was playing jokes on us. Not the most convincing or scary, but I like it. His cell phone also called his landline. That was weird. Damn.
Spooky. All right, this one is from The One True Cuck.
Oh, God. The cuckiest cuck of all cuckdom.
He's like the alpha cuck.
I've seen some cucks.
But you are by far the cuckiest.
Cuckiest.
When I was young, probably around 8 or 10, I caught chicken pox. I woke up in the middle of the night, one night, and called for my mom. Because little kids can't do shit for themselves when they're sick, a woman came into my bedroom and sat on my bed and stroked my hair until I fell asleep. For whatever reason, I thought it was my grandmother, but she was dressed funny. When I woke up the next morning, I went downstairs for breakfast and asked where my grandma was. And naturally, my mom told me that she was at her house like she always was. I told my mom she'd been in my room the night before, and my mom laughed and said that I had just been dreaming. However, my aunt, who tended to believe that sort of thing more, was babysitting me that day. The upside to chickenpox meant there was no school for me, and I told her the story. She asked me to describe the weird outfit, and it was a nurse's outfit from the 50s, early 60s. My family knew the previous owners of the house. The wife was a nurse in the 50s and had died a few months previously. Can I say with 100% certainty that I had an encounter with a spirit? No, but it's certainly a spooky coincidence. Also kind of sounds like third man syndrome, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting,
Yeah.
though.
Oh, that's weird. The screen just glitched. Okay, this is from JDRC07. Somewhere out in the mountains near Mammoth, California, as a kid, my dad, myself, and a few family friends were out gazing at the stars. Being as I was from LA, I think it was the first time I'd ever seen the stars without light pollution, so I was fascinated. I pointed out to a cluster of 3 stars and said, "Hey, look, it's Orion's belt." My father corrected me and showed me that Orion's belt was elsewhere, so I asked, "Well, what constellation is that then?" And I pointed back to the one from before. He conceded that it did look very similar to Orion's belt, but he couldn't tell exactly what it was. A little while later, what appeared to be the middle star of the 3 started moving, quickly. It zigzagged through the sky for several seconds before its brightness intensified, and then just like that, disappeared. To this day, the only thing I can think of that it could possibly be was some kind of experimental drone, but this was in the early 90s, and I'm not sure drones existed back then. And if it was a drone, it must have been a damned advanced one because it stood still for long enough that myself and several adults nearby all thought it was a star.
It was
What do you think it was?
It was a UAP from the ocean, man. Yeah, that was it.
They come from the ocean.
Yeah, that's where they
And
live.
they're in California, so, you know.
Yeah, seriously. All right, the next one is from Nick.
Seriously.
This next one is from Nikki Finn. Not me, but my stepfather's best friend, call him Jim, had supposedly been experiencing paranormal activity since he was a teenager. He's a court reporter. Stepdad was a speechwriter, very skeptical and stoic guys. There were countless ghost stories. They got in an elevator full of people in downtown Atlanta, stopped at a floor that was all kinds of wrong. 1940s decor, abandoned, dusty. Then the elevator went back down and opened on the opposite side of the building. That reminds me of that story, Room for One More. Have you heard of that? It was like in a kid's book, scary story book.
Like the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
It might be, but I'm not sure. But it was like a guy who was like going to get on an elevator, and like they all look skeletal and like dead. And they're like, "There's room for one more." And he's like, "Nah." And then like, I guess it crashed. Everybody died on it.
Room for One More. I'm looking it up right now. It sounds very familiar. I just want to know if it's in like the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yeah.
Room for One More.
I remember it scared me when I was a kid. I was like really young when I read it.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Room for One More. That was a good one.
All right, well, back to the story. Jim's dog died. A week later, the stereo turned on by itself and started playing a song Jim loved to play for his pet. No CD inside. It had snowed the night before, and there were paw prints in the backyard leading to the house, but none near the gate. He frequently finds giant piles of coins under his pillow. What the fuck?
This is the Tooth Fairy?
Yeah. He lived in London for a time, thinking he'd escaped the spirit, which had begun to scratch him hard on his arms and legs. After 6 months, he found a little pile of pennies in his bed, even though he hadn't been carrying American coinage. I personally witnessed one strange event while Jim was around. Was walking down the stairs and felt something whip past my head and heard it hit the wall. Looking down and saw a quarter dated 1948. I thought my sister was messing with me, but she was down at the lake with everyone else. This is such a bizarre story.
It is bizarre.
They have more stories, so I'm going to read them. I actually like this one. This says, okay, I remember one that my stepdad, Jim, and two of their other college buddies all swore was true. When my dad and Jim were roommates in the 70s, they had a house with a screened-in back porch. Multiple times a year, they'd be up late and suddenly hear what sounded like a bridge club, old ladies chatting and giggling, ice cubes tinkling in snifter glasses, cards being reshuffled, etc. Sometimes they'd go sit out on the front porch, right in the middle of it, and the women carried on. So he's saying they heard that in there? Okay, I think that's what it's saying.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. Or I'm thinking.
In another anecdote, a roommate of theirs opened a closet and found a spinning vortex. Okay, sure.
Oh, what? Jesus Christ.
He walked straight.
I found a portal to another dimension. We were playing cribbage and I found a whole fucking portal.
He walked straight out of the house, left his shit behind, and never came back. They had to badger him repeatedly to find out what happened. Could have just been an LSD flashback, though.
100% an LSD flashback. Are you kidding me?
I suppose if I was renting a house and opened the closet door and there's just a spinning vortex, I probably would leave too.
You're like, nope, I don't have time to deal with
I'm
this
out
shit today.
I'm out.
I'm done.
They can have the deposit.
No amount of LSD will help me translate this. There's nothing happening.
Deposit's theirs. I'm out.
I'm done. I don't even give a shit. I'm done. Oh my God. That was funny. That was good. Was that it though?
Yeah.
All right. This comes from Spuds McKenzie. I like how this starts. I lived in a haunted house with 3 roommates. They lived there for a couple of weeks before I did and swore up and down that a young woman was haunting the house. One of them said that they had some incense manually extinguished when they weren't home. Another one said they were feeling around in the dark looking for a light switch and felt the hair on top of someone's head. Someone that wasn't there when the light came on.
Dude, that's creepy as fuck.
They're just playing a game of who's in my mouth.
I went to go flip the light switch, and I swear my finger went into someone's mouth, and I felt a tongue.
Oh. I, being a good and proper atheist and knowing my roommates were kind of potheads, thought it was all bollocks, and they said they were paranoid. Bollocks. They're from the UK. A month or so after I moved in, I was laying in bed when I heard a girl crying in the hallway. 2 of my roommates were girls, so I got up to do the requisite investigating and consoling. I opened my door to see who it was, only to discover that I was the only person home at that time. I'm still not a major believer in the supernatural, but I won't rule anything out now.
I went to go flip a light switch. I swear to God, I felt an ass.
I was inside an ass.
Not it.
What kind of light switch is this?
That's not what I said.
I opened the closet and there was some kind of fucking vortex, man.
I just left.
I swear to God.
I left. I never came back. I just said, fuck it.
I left. I don't even care. I lost so much money on that rental. I don't give a fuck. I'm not fucking with vortexes. This ain't happening. I only did 2 ounces of pot. I only did 2 ounces of LSD. I'm not a crazy person. I saw a vortex. I fucking bounced.
There's a vortex in my closet. I had to leave.
You can't pay me enough to deal with that shit. I see a vortex. I'm out.
All right. This next one is from Gator Burger. You should know I consider myself to be a very rational person. I'm not superstitious and I don't believe in psychic powers or the supernatural. My best friend Travis and I used to play guitars together almost every day. That's not important now, but it will be later. One day we decided to go to the beach with our girlfriends and take some mushrooms. After a little while, when the mushrooms were kicking in, Travis said that he wanted to wander off alone. So I stayed with our girlfriends.
Okay, hang on, first of all. That's just so weird. Hey guys, I want to wander off alone. Just don't come near me.
You ever been on mushrooms before, Britton?
I have not.
You would know. You did. All right. We all have.
You take this out, obviously, but you have, right? My brother has too. I haven't. He has some weird fucking experiences, man. He always did it while camping.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it's interesting if I would have done it. All right.
Shut up, dude. I know you have.
We all had a great time. As the sun began to set, Travis's girlfriend asked me, "Where's Travis?" None of us.
It's my birthday. Where's Travis? Where's Travis at? It's my birthday. Jesus Christ. Dude.
None of us knew where he was, but I could hear him playing the guitar. So I suggested that we just follow the sound of the music until we got to him. The girls told me that I must have really good hearing because they couldn't hear anything. I said, well, I can definitely hear it, so just follow me. Now here's the strange part. I followed the sound for several minutes into the forest and went directly to him. But when we reached him, he did not have a guitar, and I realized that we had left our guitars at home. I still have no idea how that happened. That's fucking weird. You were lost in the woods, not the beach. All right.
He's like, all right, guys, I'm going to wander. Don't follow me. I'm going to go play the guitar for a little bit. The guitar.
The old G-string.
All right, this comes from Miss Macstatic. So much paranormal shit happened to me when I was a kid. One that has always stuck with me was when I was about 3 or 4 years old. Back then, I used to randomly wake up in the middle of the night, really often for no reason at all. I was still sleeping in my parents' bed at the time, so I would just lay in bed and look around. I swear, every fucking time I'd look at the doorway to the living room, I would see two really tall figures standing there. They looked like the old farm couple in that one painting. Like the elongated farming couple.
Yeah, creepy.
Except they had hollow eyes and they were thinner. They never really didn't do anything.
Okay.
They never really didn't do anything. They never did anything but stare back at me first. One night was especially weird. I woke up as usual and saw them standing there in front of the doorway. Only this time, something felt a bit more off than usual. The ceiling fan was on high and the blades were going so fast that the entire fixture was moving back and forth. I looked back at the figures and they have some really dark, creepy grins on their faces. I got scared and I buried myself in the blankets, hoping that they'd go away. Then all I heard was the ceiling fan spinning even faster. Somehow, the beads at the end of the switches were tapping against the glass light cover furiously. I peeked up out of the covers and the two figures were right next to the bed, standing right over me with their ugly smiles. I screamed bloody murder and the glass cover on the light came off and shattered on the ground. My dad jumped out of bed immediately and turned on the light to see what had happened, but the two figures were already gone. I was crying hysterically and took my mom a long time to calm me down. So much other stuff went on while I lived there. That was the worst house I ever lived in.
Okay. Pretty scary. I would be a little bit freaked out if I saw that.
The one comment's like, "Fuck you mean hiding under the covers isn't ghost alien abduction immunity? Fuck, that ruins every source of comfort I have."
Son of a bitch.
Because it's like, it's always hiding under the covers protects you some reason. Like, you're not going to be taken away.
Yeah, it's true.
This beer has hit me hard, man. Holy shit.
This one is from Fluffygasm.
Do you have a Fluffygasm, Cleet?
Sometimes.
When you pack on your furry clothing,
No.
you have a Fluffygasm.
It's that little, what was it, the rabbit? Stuffed rabbit?
Oh, Jesus Christ, from the World War II veteran?
Yeah.
I like to pet my rabbit.
I really like them. If anything... Oh, by the way, I watched Children of the Corn last week, the newest one.
Like the original?
No,
the OG?
The newest one. It sucked. It was really stupid.
Yeah. Dude, when they remake shit like that, it's not good. Like have you seen the original one, right? Malachi?
No, I need to watch it, actually. Never have.
What? I mean, it's not great, but yeah.
Yeah, never have. Don't watch the new one. Well, I mean, you can. It wasn't horrible. I didn't hate it. So there's that.
I won't watch it.
Anyways, back to freaky kids. Either Either they're turned into something we're not, or there's some fuckery about. For instance, I'll use myself. My grandfather died when I was young, and I never really knew him. But he was important to my mother, so we'd make pilgrimages to his grave in the mausoleum pretty routinely.
Did you see mausoleum?
I don't know, it got weird.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum.
It's a mausoleum, buddy.
I'm drinking, bitch.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
It was as normal as it could have been. It was normal as it could have been that day. My mom was paying her respects and praying when she noticed me. I was standing by the opposite wall, talking and laughing like I was with an old friend. She walks up to me and asks who I'm talking to, and I said I was talking to Mr. Jones. Not his actual name, but out of respect for the dead, I won't say his actual name. About eye level with her was a slot with his name on it. This was incredibly unsettling to her because, 1, I could not yet read, and 2, even if I could, his grave was several feet above what would have been readable to me. There I was, chatting and laughing, like I was with an old friend to a man who'd been dead for 20-some-odd years. Nowadays, I'm not superstitious beyond my faith, but that story makes me wonder. The world is a weird place, and as much as we'd like to believe it, we don't have all the answers. Maybe, just maybe, there's something beyond us.
I saw a crazy TikTok about, maybe we'll cover it, but it's like a guy who was in a coma and he woke up saying a bunch of weird fucking shit about like, there's this crazy being who is like approaching us or some shit. It was weird.
It's like, Scientology was 100% correct. I know it sounds crazy, but Theta's completely real. We were put in a volcano. They blew it up. Scientology. Amen.
Yeah. All right. This comes from Pickles Taste Good. Here's some spookiness. This happened to me a few years ago. First, a little backstory to explain. I am Muslim. My huge family tree is Muslim. One of our beliefs, there are spirits called jinn. They don't inhabit the living world, but they visit. They are unseen spirits. Spooky, right? Anyway, sometimes kids can see or speak to them. Now, the story. I was visiting my cousins on my aunt's side. They have 2 18-year-old boys and a 7-year-old baby. We had just come back from dinner. The little boy, we'll call him John, walked in first after his mom unlocked the house door. He turned and waved at a plant in a dark sitting room. We thought nothing of it. Later on, his siblings went into the living room to watch TV while he stayed in the sitting room. I left, but watched him from behind a door. He turns and starts talking to the plant. It's a full conversation with replies and body language. It's just normal. Kids talk to plants
Kids
all
are
the time.
fucking weird, man.
Getting creeped out, I tell one of his older brothers. He tells me, and I quote, "Yeah, he does that sometimes." I woke
Is
up.
he doing that plant shit again?
I woke up. Now he's talking to plants again. He's talking to the fern. He does that shit all the time. I woke up late at night to use the bathroom a couple times and saw him talking to the plant. Once I walked in and asked who he was talking to. He said, "A friend." When I told him to go to sleep, he turned to the plant and said, "Bye, I'll see you tomorrow." Me and his brother were creeped out. Then a thought arose. What if he was talking to the plant to help it grow? I said. His brother replied, once he brought some candy and put it on the couch near the plant. He told me it was for his friend who sits by the plant.
That's
a little
damn.
fucking
Okay,
creepy
so it's
though,
not
man.
the plant. It's a dead kid.
The plant. It's a it's a dead kid. I see dead people. It's for the dead kid who sits next to the plant. Me and his brother decide to move the plant for one night. We don't tell him. He wasn't even home. We find him by the couch later. We put down a recorder to see what he says to his friend. Here is what John says. "Hello. I'm good. You? Why? Who moved it? But why would they? I'm sorry. I'll try to get it back for you. Did you like the candy? Sorry, I didn't know. I'll go ask them for the plant." He comes up to us in the other room and asks why we moved the plant. We didn't tell him that we moved the plant at all. No one else was around to tell him. How did he figure it out? Ooh, doo-doo-doo-doo.
I think it was a ghost kid that loved plants. That plant.
Is he giving candy to dead kids?
Sorry, I didn't know you couldn't eat it. My bad. Shit.
He really likes Snickers bars.
Yeah. Definitely a dead kid. All right, this one is called Barbie Dog.
Definitely a dead kid. Jesus Christ, dude.
I was staying at a hotel while visiting family. I ran back up to the suite to grab something before heading out to dinner. I noticed my brows were a little off, so I grabbed my eyebrow brush to touch them up. Britton, you
do that often?
huh?
Holy shit, that was weird. We said that at the exact same time.
As well as lip gloss to apply. Yeah. I sat the brush on top of the chest of drawers, next to the TV stand that sat on the chest. Standing right next to the chest, in front of the mirror on the wall, I applied my lip gloss. I then went to grab the eyebrow brush, but it was gone. I looked under the TV stand, on the dresser, underneath the dresser, all over, everywhere. I knew I had left it. Over the course of about 2 minutes, as I finally checked again under the TV, I heard a drop on the carpet, like something had fallen. And there, in the middle of the floor, at least 4 feet away from the dresser, was my brush. No idea how it got there, or how I heard it drop as I was looking for it. Several seconds after I noticed it was missing from where I put it. There's no way it would have ended up in that spot for where I set it up. And I heard it drop after I saw it was gone from where I put it. This seems like a dumb story, but I slept with the lights on regardless. So I bet it just started floating up in the air. She's looking for it. And then the ghost dropped
it.
Probably a dead kid.
Yeah. She should give it some candy.
Give it a plant.
Give it a plant. And candy. Okay, this is from Pearl Sweet. I was in a room that lost its color, and this was witnessed with another person. I always see these things and love reading them, so I will contribute my unexplained experience. First off, I have quite a few. I'm a nurse who works night shift with the mostly geriatric population. One night, it was just me and my younger nursing assistant. She wanted to look something up on the computer, so she was sitting beside me at the desk. Suddenly, I noticed a paper on the counter with colored lettering look dim, as in the color wasn't strong, like there was a haze in the air. I looked across the room and there was a sign that's still hanging there as of today that said pressure points in red, and again the colors were muted. It was like my eyes were losing the ability to see color. There was a general grayness filling the space, not like a shape, just everything appeared muted and the colors were dim. I started to quietly freak out and worry that I had a brain tumor or multiple sclerosis. I didn't say anything though because, well, I didn't want her to think I was crazy. Suddenly, Tara, the nursing assistant, looked up and out of the hallway and said, "Did you notice that hallway looks gray?" I was immediately relieved because that meant I wasn't suffering some mysterious disorder because she saw the grayness too. We watched this grayness that seemed to saturate not only the hallway but our entire surrounding. It then seemed to begin to concentrate in the hallway and near the ceiling, and we watched as it slowly disappeared. It moved to the left and then just left. Afterward, it was like someone turned on the lights and the colors were back to full saturation. Surprisingly, we didn't really freak out, but that's probably because as healthcare workers, we're just conditioned not to. To this day, I have zero explanation for what this was, and nothing like this has ever happened since then, nor have I ever heard of anyone experiencing something like this. I've heard of people seeing clouds or fog, but this wasn't like that. This was like being inside a fog that filled the entirety of our space. What do you think?
Sounds like a gas leak.
It's the asbestos. It's seeping through the vents.
All right, this one is from Provier. Hopefully this won't get buried. So almost 3 years ago, I was on holiday with my family and significant other, and staying at my childhood home. That place was always been creepy, but nothing really scary had happened to me. My older brother was actually the victim. This night, I wake up at around 2 or 3 in the morning, needing to pee. I was very comfortable cuddling with my significant other, so I tried to just ignore it and fall back asleep. Like half an hour goes by and I don't feel sleepy anymore and seriously need the bathroom. So I sit up and peek around to find my slippers, and I almost pissed myself when I saw this weird-ass person laying in the fetal position on the fucking floor. Like, it was black, way darker than normal black, even though it was under this rectangle of light that came from the hallway. Then I proceeded to cry. I felt so scared all of a sudden, and it woke up my significant other, who then had to console me until daylight. The next day there was nothing on the floor, but I was still extremely creeped out. Since then, I have only slept there once, and only with the lights on. It's been over 2 years since I'd stepped foot in my childhood bedroom, and I'm not planning on doing so anytime soon. That's just one, but there's so many things there, I don't like to spend much time there anymore. Edit. Okay, so here's one of my brothers. When he was 20, we moved to another city, so he was living on his own. He often had friends around because he found the house creepy. One night, 3 of his friends were there, and they were playing on the PS. They were sitting on the futon with their feet on the coffee table, and they took a break to chat about whatever. Then one of this guy's legs moves forward, as if something was pulling him. Poor guy was almost crying, and he went home shortly afterwards. The others stayed, but they didn't sleep at all. Another time, my brother was cleaning up a bit, and he was stacking up the dishes. An ashtray that was on the counter exploded out of nowhere. He wasn't smoking. That might have been an explanation, though. Once, this brother and our youngest brother were cooking something. They had the cupboards all open because they were horribly messy like that. While they were goofing off around the stove, they go to get another plate, and according to them, this bowl came flying off from the side and almost whacked my brother in the head. All right, that's kind of creepy. Creepy stuff.
Like we said, they were just messy like that.
Yeah, messy pigs.
Cool. This is from Coltrane44. So when I was in 4th grade, I would often stay at my friend Greg's house. His family was cool and didn't mind me hanging out all the time. Greg always mentioned that his house was haunted, footsteps in the hallway, shadowy figures, etc., but I never took him seriously. Shut up, Greg. You're not scaring me. One night, we decided to sneak out and wrap toilet paper around our friend's house down the street. Do you remember going toilet papering?
Yeah, I never did that because I'm not a delinquent, Britton.
Yeah, me neither. We thought we were badasses. We waited until about 3 a.m., stole a roll of toilet paper from the bathroom, and silently left out the front door. We were gone maybe 15 minutes, but we were worn out. So we went to the TV room and took our spots. He was on the pull-out couch, and I was on the floor. I was a weird kid. I preferred it. After watching TV for a bit, we decided to pass out. As soon as we turned the TV off, the light in his kitchen became very bright and loud, almost as if it was going to explode. Then footsteps ran from the kitchen to where we were, and I promise I'm not making this up, the couch cushion next to me depressed as if someone was sitting on it. I whispered to Greg, "What was that?" He promptly told me to shut up, just as the entire sequence repeated itself. Bright light. He's like, "Shut the hell up, dude."
Maybe you should shut up.
Just shut up. Stop asking questions. You can't sleep over anymore if you keep asking fucking questions. Bright light, footsteps, couch. I threw the covers over my head and somehow went to sleep. The next morning, I woke under the covers to the sound of Greg getting in trouble. His mom noticed that the last roll of toilet paper was gone. Rookie mistake on our part. It's like, "Where's the last roll of toilet paper, Greg?"
I wrapped around my friend's house. Wrapped it around.
We went toilet papering, Ma.
This one is from Edgar.
Edgar.
When I was about 17, I was at my friend's apartment building, which his parents owned. We had an apartment to hang out in on the top floor and used to go to the roof to smoke. One night, we were about to go up, but I had to pee, so I told him I'd meet him up there. After I was done, I went up the stairs to the attic portion that was connected to the roof. There were no lights, so we always used our phones to guide us. It was an old building, and the attic was creepy and cluttered all the time. As I made my way to the roof door, I saw a shadow pass by me. I followed the direction it went, thinking it was my friend. I kept saying that I knew it was him and to stop playing around. It passed me a few more times when I heard my friend's voice from downstairs. He got a call from his girlfriend and was in another room talking to her the whole time. I have no idea what the shadow figure was, but it really freaked me out. I told my friend what happened and that I did not want to go back up there. A couple of things for people to consider that have been mentioned when I've told this story before. It was not my own shadow, since the only light up there was coming from my phone, which I held in front of me. It also wasn't someone that just broke in, because the door locks from the outside, and the next day my friend went to check when it was daytime and there was no one there. Creepy.
God damn. Is that it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, folks, that is going to wrap us up tonight. As always, a huge thank you to our paid supporters of the show: Soylent, Cleet, Modelo Time, Cleet Feet, Curtis and Laura, Mothman, Conklin Family, Laura and Lou. Again, thank you very much for supporting the show consistently. And if you yourself would like to become a paid supporter of the show, click the link below. There are several tiers to choose from. And if you want to make a one-time donation to the beer fund, there's also a link for that.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps us get us out there. And as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next time.